Hey, welcome back. No long intro today. The stories speak for themselves. These ones stuck with me for days, and I think they'll stick with you too. Subscribe if you want more, and let's get started. I found an abandoned 4chan thread that updates itself every time I refresh it. Each post describes exactly what I'm doing. I've tested it 50 plus times, and I'm certain I'm not alone in my apartment. This showed up on r/nosleep 3 days ago, posted by Mirror Logic. What hits you first is the tone. She's not panicking, not begging for help. She's writing like someone gathering evidence before something else decides to speak. That composure is what makes the ending of this part land so hard. My name is Fuck, and I need to get this down while I'm still thinking clearly. I'm in my early 30s, live alone, and I've always been logical, the kind of person who Googles everything and trusts data over gut feeling. That's important because you need to understand that I'm not prone to panic or jumping to conclusions. I was doing research for work last week when I found a 4chan thread in my search results. No idea how it ranked or why it showed up. Some archive site maybe. The thread was ancient. Posted in 2016. I clicked it anyway because the subject line was weird. She's listening now. I assumed it was creepypasta or something. I opened the page. It was just a dead thread. A few replies from 8 years ago about some paranoia, standard 4chan stuff. I was about to close it when I scrolled down and saw a new post, time-stamped 12 minutes ago. That was impossible. My hands actually went cold. I refreshed the page. Another new post appeared, 8 minutes ago. It said, "She's looking at her phone right now. Brown case. She's confused." I was holding my phone. It's brown. I have no explanation for how that's possible, but I was curious now, and I'm ashamed to say a little thrilled by the mystery. Not scared yet, just intrigued. I put my phone down and went to the kitchen. I made coffee, took my time, moved slowly. Then I came back and refreshed. The thread had a new post. She made coffee in the kitchen. She's coming back now. I can hear her feet. I was alone. Completely alone. And I have no explanation for any of this. And there's the hook. She's locked in now, and so are we. Part of her knows how this looks. The other part has proof something is wrong, and she's about to start testing it. So OP started running proper tests. Controlled. Documented. Scientific, if you could call anything about this scientific. I locked myself in the bathroom for 5 minutes. Didn't move. Then I refreshed the thread. A post from 17 minutes ago. She's in the bathroom. Not moving. Why isn't she moving? My hands actually shook. I set my phone down and counted to 300 before picking it back up. After that, I stopped trying to understand and started counting instead. Test 1. Make coffee in the kitchen. Refresh after 30 seconds. Making coffee in the kitchen. Sound of the kettle. Posted 6 minutes ago. Test 2. Walk to the bedroom window. Stare outside. Looking out the window now. What does she see? 4 minutes ago. Test 3. Sit on the bed and do absolutely nothing. Sitting on her bed again. Why does she sit so much? 2 minutes ago. By hour 3, I'd run 73 tests. Every single one had a post within 15 to 20 seconds. Different rooms, identical accuracy. Different actions, identical accuracy. At the kitchen sink, standing in the hallway, on the balcony, in the closet. The posts were meticulous. Around test 50, the tone shifted from observation to cruelty. She looks scared now. Why is she testing us? We already see her. She can't hide from herself. By test 80, I'd stopped documenting. I just kept refreshing, watching them watch me, knowing no test would show me the gap in their vision because there wasn't one. That consistency is what kills hope. When you're being hunted, the best you can do is find the hunter's pattern, their blind spot, their moment of inattention. But what if there's no pattern? What if the attention never lapses? OP was learning this the hard way, test by test, refresh by refresh. Her panic wasn't fading, it was crystallizing into something else entirely. Certainty. So I did what any rational person would do. I tested it. Sealed myself in different rooms with no electronics except my phone. Locked doors. Waited. Then checked the thread. Every single time, new posts had appeared while I was locked away. They described what I was doing, how I was breathing, things I never told anyone. I'm going to walk you through what I found because I need someone to tell me if this makes sense. The thread had 17 posts total. I screenshotted everything. The accounts posting new updates didn't exist. Watcher13 had never posted before. Static Mirror had zero history on 4chan. Frequency Locked, the same. Every account that appeared with new timestamps was created at the exact moment they posted, then vanished. They spawned just to describe me. I ran tests for 4 hours, different rooms, different actions, closets, walls, sitting still, walking circles. Every refresh brought new posts describing exactly what I'd just done. But the worst part is what they knew. Post 9 described the exact weight distribution of my footsteps. Not "she walked around," but specific details about my gait, my weight. Post 12 described a thought I had. She's thinking about calling someone but won't because she knows they won't believe her. That wasn't a guess. That was inside my head. I'd never typed it, never said it. Yet there it was, posted as if they could see directly into my mind. Is anyone else finding this thread, or is it only visible when you search? If you're the only one who can access it, this isn't about 4chan. Something is specifically targeting you. This is the most horrifying thing I've read in months. The fact that you're powerless to change anything the thread predicts means you're essentially watching your own execution in slow motion. Posts on 4chan from 8 years ago are archived and static. They don't update. If this is happening, you're looking at either a deep fake, a compromised server, or something that violates basic internet physics. That's when things shifted. The thread wasn't just describing the present anymore, it was getting ahead of her. But then something shifted. The thread's timestamp stopped being recent. They started jumping forward. I traced the first post in that thread. It wasn't dated 8 years ago. It was written for today. When I opened the thread this morning, the post stopped describing what I was doing and started describing what I was about to do. The most recent said, "She'll go to the kitchen in 3 minutes. She'll make coffee. She'll notice her keys are missing." I hadn't made coffee in days, but I went to the kitchen, I made coffee, and my keys were gone. When I went to the bathroom, the post's updated. She's panicking now. She checks the medicine cabinet. The bottle isn't there. I don't know what bottle they meant, but my hands moved anyway. I opened the cabinet, and on the second shelf, it was gone. Everything described after, every action. I'm not choosing anymore. I'm just following a script someone wrote 8 years ago. The comment section went into overdrive. "Your apartment is bugged. Cameras in every room, probably microphones too. Someone is watching you in real time and typing updates. Check your network, your router, your devices. Stop refreshing that thread immediately. You're reading your own future. Close the tab and don't open it again." They can't. Once you know something like that is real, your brain is wired to verify it over and over. OP could delete the thread URL from her history and it would still be there the next time she searches for it. You can't unknow what she knows now. Even if she closed the tab, she'd reopen it within hours. That's the real trap. They can't. Once you know something like that is real, your brain is wired to verify it over and over. OP could delete the thread URL from her history and it would still be there the next time she searches for it. You can't unknow what she knows now. Even if she closed the tab, she'd reopen it within hours. That's the real trap. The unraveling happened slowly at first, then all at once. Days turned into weeks. I traced the first post in that thread. It wasn't dated 8 years ago. It was written for today. So I did what anyone would do. I dug deeper. I spent 3 days downloading the thread archive, running it through every tool I could find, comparing timestamps, checking metadata, and I found it. The very first post in that thread. The original post that started everything. It wasn't dated 8 years ago. It was posted at 2:47 a.m. on today's date. I checked 5 times. The same thread I thought I'd stumbled on by accident through some random search result was created hours before I even knew about it. Hours before I opened my laptop and typed those specific search terms that somehow led me to this place. I don't know how long I sat staring at that timestamp. I tried everything. Cleared my cache, checked my system clock multiple times, wondered if maybe the archive was broken. But the date is there, absolutely clear, written for today. The posts are weeks ahead of me now. I see things in that thread I haven't done yet. The latest posts describe a Thursday that hasn't happened, a decision I haven't made. I can feel it coming like gravity. The thread doesn't predict my future, it writes it. The problem with predicting the future is that once you know what's coming, you can't not do it. Every choice feels predetermined. And that's when the comment section lit up. If the thread is predicting your future actions and you're compelled to perform them, then your decision to refresh was predetermined too. You're not discovering your future, you're living through a loop you can't escape. That one understood what I didn't, that I wasn't trapped by the thread, I was trapped by myself, trapped by certainty. On to the next one. I, 26 female, think my boyfriend, 28 male, might actually want to hurt me, and I don't know how to leave. This is the title that stops you cold. The kind of post where you already know something has gone very, very wrong, and everything after this is just waiting to understand how. Here's how OP tells it. I've been with my boyfriend for 3 years. He's always seemed normal, safe. We talk about the future, my friends like him. Everything looks right on the surface. That's what makes this so confusing. But there have been these things, little things I didn't want to examine too closely. He gets angry when I say no to things. Not yelling, but this cold, controlled anger that makes my skin crawl. When I set boundaries, he acts like I'm being unreasonable or testing him somehow. I found myself apologizing for things that aren't my fault, just to make that expression go away. Last week, during sex, I used my safe word. We have signals, he knows I'm serious. He didn't stop. He slowed down, like I was being dramatic, looked confused, and kept going. When I pushed him away, he acted confused, like there was no safe word, like I was suddenly overreacting about nothing. He turned it around so fast, made me question whether I'd said it clearly, made me feel stupid. The next day I brought it up. He said he thought I was playing around with the safe word, that I always test boundaries. He said if I didn't want that, I should just say so directly instead of making up games. There's no game. There's a system we agreed on. He violated it and made me feel crazy for enforcing it. And then last night, he made a comment. We were just sitting on the couch and he said something about being in the mood to kill, casually, like someone saying they're in a bad mood. I laughed it off in the moment, but my stomach dropped. He was smiling, but I couldn't tell if he was joking. The way he said it, there was something underneath that didn't feel like a joke. It felt intentional somehow. I'm documenting everything now. Screenshots, dates, times of incidents. I'm terrified I'm overreacting, but I'm also terrified I'm not. That's where she stops. That's the hook. The moment she realizes she might actually be in danger with someone who's supposed to love her, and she doesn't know what to do about it. What comes next is her trying to work through whether she's right to be scared, and how she can actually leave without it blowing up in her face. What came next is worse, in a different way. It's one thing to violate a boundary in a moment of weakness. It's another thing entirely when someone denies the violation happened at all, when they rewrite the entire event in real time, make you question your own memory. After I pushed him away and caught my breath, he acted confused. You said it was okay, he kept saying, even though I used our safe word. When I tried to explain why that mattered, he shut down, said I was being dramatic, that I didn't actually care about him if I was making a big deal out of nothing. Over the next few days, I kept trying to bring it up. Each time, he flipped it back. I was too sensitive, didn't trust him, probably trying to start a fight because I was bored. The goalposts kept moving. One minute he didn't hear me, the next I wasn't clear enough, the next he was implying I was lying. But here's what really scared me. When I wasn't fighting back, I'd catch him watching me with this expression I couldn't read, like he was taking notes, testing something. 2 days later, he made a joke. And when I didn't laugh, he said casually, I'm in a mood to kill tonight. He said it like nothing, like someone saying they're in a mood for a run. I froze, asked what he meant. He laughed and walked out. I started writing things down after that. Dates, times, what happened, what he said. My hands were shaking while I wrote. She knows what her safe word is. She knows she said it. She knows what happened, and she knows she didn't consent. But his version of events keeps shifting, keeps changing depending on how she pushes back. And she has those notes she started writing, documenting it all. Because something in her, something that knows what's real, knows she's going to need them. But it didn't stop. The fear kept building. Over the next few days, I noticed a pattern I couldn't unsee. He'd test me constantly. Nothing as obvious as before, but little things. He'd grab my arm a bit too hard and watch my face to see if I'd say something. He'd raise his voice during arguments, never quite yelling but loud enough that I'd flinch, and then he'd laugh like I was being dramatic. When I tried to talk about the safe word incident again, he'd say things like, "You're still thinking about that? I guess I just don't know what you want from me," making it seem like I was the unreasonable one, the one holding grudges. That's what scared me most. Not that he did it, but that he could make me feel crazy for being upset about it. I started keeping my phone on me at all times, taking screenshots of our text conversations when he'd gaslight me about what happened. "You always overreact during sex," he wrote back when I said it terrified me. "It's not that serious." But I was documenting everything now, even though I couldn't fully explain why to myself. And the comment section understood what was happening. Ignoring a safe word is a deal breaker, full stop. That's not a gray area or a misunderstanding. That's him showing you he doesn't respect your consent. Please talk to someone you trust. You don't have to stay while you figure this out. Have you thought about talking to a DV hotline? They help you think through what's happening without judgment. One commenter asked if she had an exit plan. What she said back revealed something she'd been avoiding. The fact that you're documenting everything means part of you already knows this is serious. Please make a safety plan. Do you have somewhere to go? I have a friend I can stay with, but I haven't told her yet because saying it out loud makes it real. I keep replaying the night, wondering if I'm overreacting. But you're right. I've been keeping screenshots of our messages where he gaslights me about the safe word. I said, "That really scared me," and he responded, "You always overreact during sex. It's not that serious." That's the documentation part, proving to myself this actually happened the way I remember it. But she hadn't heard the worst part yet. 3 weeks later, OP posted an update. He admitted everything, and I'm finally leaving. I keep replaying the moment he said it. We were in the kitchen, Tuesday morning. He was staring out the window and just said it. Sometimes I'm just in the mood to kill. Not angry, not emotional, like he was thinking out loud about weather. I remember my stomach dropping because I knew, absolutely knew, he wasn't joking. The flatness in his voice. He didn't even look at me. I asked him to clarify, and he got angry that I was making a big deal, said I was being hysterical. But over the next week, I saw everything differently. He had been testing me. Small boundary pushes first, watching my reaction. When I didn't leave after he violated my safe word, he escalated. That comment wasn't random. It was him showing me who he is and testing if I'd finally understand. I wrote down everything. Dates, times, exact words. I called the domestic violence hotline. When I confronted him about the pattern, he confessed. Said he wanted to see how far he could push me. Had intrusive thoughts about harming me. Was testing my boundaries to see if I'd stay. I'm terrified. I'm leaving tomorrow. The comments came in validating her fears. This is concerning behavior that escalates. Violating boundaries plus threats of harm plus gaslighting equals pattern. Consider speaking to a domestic violence counselor, even just for clarity. The kill comment combined with violating your safe word is terrifying. Trust your gut. Men who show you who they are believe you. This. And the pattern is what matters. One incident could be a mistake, but ignoring the safe word plus threatening comment plus then dismissing her concern equals he's showing her he doesn't believe her body's no matters. That's intentional. This is concerning behavior that escalates. Violating boundaries plus threats of harm plus gaslighting equals pattern. Consider speaking to a domestic violence counselor, even just for clarity. On to the next one. So OP made her move. What started as documenting became a call to a crisis line. The call became a plan. By Thursday, she had packed a bag and left. He admitted everything, and I'm finally leaving. I told my closest friend Maya what I'd written down. She didn't hesitate, said I needed to call a domestic violence hotline. I remember saying he'd never hit me, and she said it doesn't matter. I looked up the signs that night. Boundary violations, gaslighting, testing, isolation tactics I hadn't noticed, subtle comments about my friends, how I needed to be more supportive of him specifically. It all mapped onto the warning list. Wednesday, I called. Patricia just listened, didn't judge. I told her about the safe word incident, his dismissal, the kill comment. She asked questions that made me realize I already knew the answers. Thursday, I packed, hands shaking. Told my parents, sent him a text I was going to their house, He said I was being dramatic. Friday, he called, seemed confused. I told him we needed to talk about what he'd been doing. And then, I know what I've been doing. I wanted to see how much I could get away with. Not joking, just matter of fact. I hung up and called Patricia again. Police report, protective order, legal consultation. I'm not waiting to see if he changes. The response online was immediate and clear-eyed. I've been in a similar situation. The way he dismisses your safe word after crossing it is the red flag itself. When you point out a violation and he makes you feel crazy for it, that's by design. I've been in a similar situation. The way he dismisses your safe word after crossing it is the red flag itself. When you point out a violation and he makes you feel crazy for it, that's by design. That moment when you realize someone has been testing your boundaries deliberately, not out of thoughtlessness but as a strategy, that's the moment everything reframes. OP got out. On to the next one. The ranger station taught me something is in the forest at night and I can't look at it. Something was moving in those shadows. Something that did not belong there. Something that broke every rule of how the world is supposed to work. I'm a park ranger covering overnight solo patrols in a state forest. The routine is simple. Locked gate at dusk, headlight and radio, check access roads every 2 hours, keep people off camps and debris. Mostly I drive. Most nights it is just me and static. 3 nights ago, something was different. I spotted her around 2 a.m. on the South Loop. Woman in a dark blue dress, old style, standing between the trees maybe 50 feet from the road. No jacket, 42 degrees. I thought maybe lost or hurt. I got out. And here is where it gets hard to explain. I could see her, my eyes looking right at her, but I could not see her face. Not the dark, not distance. It is like my brain was actively refusing to process it. Every time I tried to focus on her features, my eyes would skip sideways. The harder I tried, the more wrong it felt, like touching a live wire. Then she spoke. The words came and dissolved before reaching me, like syllables evaporating in the air between us. I could not hold any of it. No meaning, no shapes, nothing. But underneath was something else. A feeling wrapped around my chest. Overwhelming urgency. Whatever she was asking, she needed me to know it was urgent. Desperate urgent. That is where the hook set. That urgency. That feeling that something vital was being asked of me. It would not let go. I could not stop thinking about it. And the next night, she was waiting. Waiting in the exact same spot. And I made a choice I could not take back. The rational part of my brain shut down the moment she vanished. I was just moving, following the direction she went into dark I'd never seen before. Every instinct screamed wrong, but something pulled me forward anyway. I moved through the trees where she'd gone. The branches didn't fight like they normally do. It was like they moved for me, parting just enough to let me through. I could see her silhouette maybe 30, 40 feet ahead, that blue dress so crisp and clean in my flashlight beam. The color didn't make sense. Nothing else in that forest was that saturated at night. I called out, "Hey, wait up!" But my voice sounded wrong, thin and distant, like it was coming from someone else's throat. She stopped, turned, and I still couldn't see her face. My eyes kept sliding off, the way they do when you try to focus on something in your peripheral vision. But I felt her looking at me. That urgent question crashed down again. The words fell apart before they reached my ears, syllables dissolving into this overwhelming pressure of need. "Do you understand? Will you come?" Something like that. The meaning leaked away, but the desperation didn't. I tried to close the distance, pulled out my radio, thought maybe reporting it would make this real, would force it into a framework that made sense. But I couldn't remember the protocol, couldn't form the words. The static sounded like her voice underneath. I dropped it. She moved deeper into the trees, not running, gliding, like she was barely touching the ground. And I followed. What else was there to do? Everything else had stopped mattering. My hands were shaking. I was crying. I didn't realize it until I tasted salt on my lips. The forest around us was too quiet. No insects, no wind, just the sound of my breathing and her dress moving and this low sound, like humming, that seemed to come from the earth itself, resonating up through my boots. When I finally stopped, I don't know how long after, minutes or hours bled together, she was gone. I was standing in a part of the forest I didn't recognize, my flashlight batteries dying, no direction clear. That's when the real panic started. Back at the station, I tried to document it, pulled up the incident log, started typing, deleted it, started again. Every version sounded insane. I'd write one sentence and read it back and throw it away. My notes from that second night are almost illegible. Hand cramping, words repeated down the page, photo attempts failed. My camera wouldn't focus on anything deep in the trees, and the audio recordings played back empty. Just wind, or what sounded like it. Except there hadn't been wind. It happened again the next night, and the night after. Same woman, same questions I couldn't hold on to long enough to understand. Same pull deeper into the trees. Same impossible distances inside a forest I've walked for 2 years. By the third night, I wasn't even trying to rationalize it anymore. Sleep wasn't happening. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd see her silhouette. I was just waiting for dark. Night 2 started the same way. Night 2, I forced myself back out there. The forest was colder, darker somehow, and she was waiting. Same blue dress, same urgency in her voice I couldn't process. This time I tried to follow further, but my legs wouldn't obey right. Like the path behind her bent in ways I couldn't navigate. When I looked away, the forest snapped back to normal. When I looked back at where she'd been, she was closer. Night 3 was worse. I barely slept the night before, and it showed. My hands shook on the steering wheel driving to the station, but I couldn't call in sick. I had to know. And she knew I'd come back. She was waiting in the exact same spot, same dress, same questions dissolving into static before they reached my ears. That's when I started digging. The station has old records, newspapers, a whole archive in the basement. I've worked here 4 months and never needed it until now. I searched for missing persons, for history of the forest itself, indigenous names, old logging accidents, anything that might explain what lives out there. The woman never changes. Same outfit, same questions, same pull toward the darker trees. Each night the forest seems larger too, like she's leading me deeper into something that doesn't fit the actual geography of the preserve. My shifts are bleeding together now. I'm awake 48 hours, asleep for 90 minutes, awake again. My reflection looks wrong. There are shadows under my eyes that don't match the lighting in the mirror. But here's what I know now. She's not random. She's not some hallucination or forest spirit that haunts anyone. She's selecting me. The questions she asks, I still can't hold them in my head. They feel specific, directed. And somewhere in this state forest, someone or something has been waiting a very long time for someone to answer. The comments section exploded with theories and warnings. This is the most terrifying thing I've read in years. The fact that you can't even comprehend what's happening makes it so much worse. Please tell someone at the station. She's not trying to hurt you. She's been waiting. And now that you can see her, you're the only person who can answer what she's been asking. Have you considered carbon monoxide? Hallucinations, time loss, and inability to form memories are classic symptoms. Check your cabin air quality. I thought of that too. I had the cabin inspected yesterday. CO detector was fine, readings were clean. And the cabin is where I feel most normal. It only happens in the forest. When I'm near her, that's when my head gets fuzzy and time doesn't make sense. The warnings were getting louder, but I was already too far in. OP returned with something she'd discovered in the Ranger Station archives. The revelation hit hard. I found my own face in a missing Ranger's 1987 journal. I found the journal in a locked drawer beneath the Ranger Station desk. 37 years of logs and incident reports, and then, leather-bound, edges faded, the name inside, James Alderman. June through August, 1987. The first entry about a woman in an old blue dress stopped me. The second confused me. By the fifth, I was shaking. He described it exactly. The way your eyes slide off her face no matter how hard you focus. How her voice breaks apart before your mind can catch it. The overwhelming sense of need pouring from her, asking, always asking, pulling you deeper. His entries grew frantic, pencil sketches of her shape, blank where her face should be. By late August, his handwriting was barely legible. The final entry just said, "She's asking me to come further in. I think I understand now." James Alderman was reported missing August 31st, 1987, 3 days after that last entry. I don't know why I'm writing this. Maybe because I need to know I'm not the first. Maybe because I'm scared. The comment section erupted. People started putting the pieces together. 1987 is specific. If you can find the ranger's name and cross-reference missing persons, that could verify this is real. Don't do this alone. The journal OP found is the evidence. If it's real and the handwriting matches missing person reports, local news would have picked this up back then. This needs to go to actual authorities, not just Reddit. Some commenters started asking harder questions. The perceptual element is what gets me. You're describing something that literally bypasses human cognition. Medical? Neurological? Or something else entirely? OP showed up one more time with a comment, and it was different. I found it. I found myself in the archives. A photograph from 1987, tucked into the missing ranger's final journal entry. It's my face. Not similar to me, not a coincidence. My actual face, decades younger, but undeniably mine. There's no explanation for how I could have been there, no gap in my memory, no lost time I can account for. Just my face, staring out of a 1987 photograph with notes beneath it. She came back for another. That's when everything crystallized. She doesn't work on yearly cycles or random selection. She finds the same ones, again and again, across different lifetimes or versions or however this works. The ranger knew it too. He understood what I understand now, that I'm not her first choice, that there's some pattern to who she calls. And more than that I'm the first one in 30 years patient enough to actually listen instead of running. To actually say yes instead of spending decades running away from the feeling of being watched. I'm meeting her tomorrow night. I'm going into those trees and I'm going to look at her face this time. I'm going to see what I'm supposed to see. The comment section reacted immediately. Readers tried connecting the dots, missing persons, decades, patterns. Then the account was gone, deleted completely, like OP had walked into the forest. Please look into whether anyone else has gone missing from that station. This reads like a pattern, not an isolated incident. OP had seen that comment. There was one response that made it out before the deletion. Please look into whether anyone else has gone missing from that station. This reads like a pattern, not an isolated incident. They already did. They're still disappearing. But she's been waiting this long for someone who would choose it instead of trying to escape it. Tomorrow that changes. And Night Shift Ranger _ was gone. What lingers is the wrongness, not some monster, but that your mind turns away from it. A consciousness that calls to you in a way your brain won't fully process as a call. 30 years. 2 rangers with the same understanding. That's the weight of these stories. Not what happened, but what you can't process about what happened. And that it keeps calling, keeps waiting. On to the next one. My dog wouldn't stop growling at my bedroom closet for a month. I finally opened it last night and found something that made me realize I've been watched the entire time. Some of the best warning systems are the ones we ignore. Dogs know things that humans can't explain. They sense danger, presence, wrongness, and sometimes they'll warn you over and over again, night after night, until you're too terrified to keep avoiding the truth. This is what happens when you finally check. I don't even know where to start with this. I'm just living alone with my dog in my apartment. He's a golden retriever, super calm, mellow, never aggressive, never really barks at anything. That's why it was so weird when he started growling at my bedroom closet about a month ago. It started small, just a low sound at night. He'd stand in that closet and growl quietly, like he was warning something away. I told myself I'd check it the next day, then the next week. Then I just kept putting it off. I don't know why. Laziness, maybe. Or denial. Or fear. The growling became routine. Every evening he'd do it. Every night I'd hear him and think, tomorrow. But tomorrow never came. Days turned into weeks, until last night. I finally forced myself to open that closet door. I didn't expect to find anything. Probably mice in the walls, something I could ignore a little longer. But on the top shelf, way back in the corner behind boxes I haven't touched in years, there was a wooden box. Old, weathered, like it had been sitting there longer than I wanted to think about. My hands were shaking when I pulled it down. I opened it, and everything went cold. Photographs. Dozens of them. Hundreds, maybe. All of me. Sleeping in my bed, sitting in my kitchen, reflected in my bathroom mirror while I showered, getting dressed in my bedroom. Every single one taken from inside my apartment. Every single angle showing something from my life that no one should ever see. And they were all dated on the back. The dates went back months. And that's where everything clicked. The dog wasn't going crazy. He knew. All those nights of growling, he was telling the poster something was in that apartment. This is where it got real. OP opens the box, and the horror starts to unfold. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely get the photographs out. Dozens of them. Dozens. They weren't random shots. She had taken them from specific angles. My bedroom at night, me sleeping. Me in the kitchen making coffee in just a t-shirt. The bathroom mirror. That one made my stomach drop. How did someone get that angle without being inside my apartment? But she was. She had been. The photographs had dates written on the back. June 2024, July 2024, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June 2025. 14 months of documentation. 14 months of my most private moments. Sleeping, showering, getting dressed, sitting in my apartment thinking I was alone. Every single moment I thought was just mine. Photographed. Watched. Every corner of my life that I believed was private. The box kept getting heavier in my hands, like the weight of what I was holding was literally crushing down on me. I understood something then that made the room start spinning. She had been doing this the entire time I lived here. Every single day for over a year. Systematic, consistent, organized like I was part of her routine, something she checked on the way you check on something you owned. The dog. The dog had been trying to warn them the entire time, growling every single night for a month straight, a constant alert that something was wrong. But they had just told it to quiet down and go to sleep. And here's what made it worse. The photographs weren't hidden. They weren't tucked away in some secure place. They were right there on a shelf, accessible. Which meant she expected to come back. Meant she was still coming back. The scope of it was suffocating. 14 months. 14 months of being documented in your most intimate moments. The shower, the bed, the kitchen at dawn. Every piece of privacy stripped away and filed away in a box on a shelf. With hands shaking, OP dialed 911. The police arrived within 40 minutes. I remember sitting on my couch in a daze, showing them the photographs with dates on the back. The officer's face went pale when he realized the scope. 14 months of documented watching. They called in forensics immediately. Over the next 6 hours, my bedroom became a crime scene. They photographed everything, dusted for prints, examined the closet, checked every window and door for marks I'd missed. I kept thinking about how many times I'd walk past that closet, change clothes, feet away from evidence of someone watching me sleep, shower, get ready. When the detective asked who it could be, I just stared at the photographs. These weren't random images of some stranger passing my window. These were taken from inside, from my own apartment. Someone had been inside my sanctuary, and I had no idea. The comment section that night exploded with a mix of horror and something darker. Readers starting to connect dots that made OP's skin crawl. This is one of the most disturbing things I've read on here. The fact that she had legitimate access for over a year and then just kept accessing after moving out. That's predatory behavior. I'm so glad your dog kept warning you. How did your landlord not notice anything when she kept breaking in? He basically blamed me for not reporting it sooner. Said the window marks were minor and he had no way of knowing. He took security so lightly that it made her access possible in the first place. The police actually suggested I could have a negligence claim against him. I'm so angry at how dismissive he was when I told him what happened. What followed was paranoia rippling through the subreddit. If it could happen to OP, it could happen to anyone. Most people had no real idea who had access to their homes. Within days, OP came back with a horrifying update. The police investigation revealed she's been doing this since before we were even roommates. So the detectives came by with updates that honestly made my blood run cold. They found forced entry marks on my bedroom window, scratches on the frame, pry marks on the sill that I had never noticed. But here's what broke the case open. My former roommate Sarah never returned her spare key when she moved out 3 months ago. She just admitted it. She kept it because she wasn't ready to say goodbye yet. The detective showed me her apartment. It was a shrine. Newspaper clippings about my life, photographs arranged chronologically, journal entries documenting my routines. The 14-month timeline matches perfectly with when Sarah first moved in. My dog wasn't being random. Max was trying to tell me every single night that someone had been in my room. Every growl, every bark. He knew. He could smell her. And I ignored him because I thought it was mice. The comment section came alive. I'm now looking at every bark and growl my dog makes with completely new eyes. This post has me genuinely unsettled. Please, please keep yourself safe. The fact that she had legitimate access for over a year and then just kept accessing after moving out, that's predatory behavior. This is the exact pattern that shows the difference between a lapse in judgment and systematic stalking. She had a key, she kept using it. That's intentional, calculated behavior. The police response time on stalking cases varies by jurisdiction, but the evidence here should have been immediate. Your dog was absolutely trying to tell you something. Dogs can detect scent and presence in ways we can't comprehend. She wasn't being random. She knew someone had been in that space. But worse was yet to come. The police didn't waste time. Within 48 hours, they had a warrant and they were searching her apartment. The police investigation revealed she's been doing this since before we were even roommates. They found everything. A full shrine, basically. Her bedroom walls were covered in newspaper clippings about me, the neighborhood break-in I'd reported, a photo of me from a community event, even screenshots from my social media. Photographs covered her desk, hundreds of them, organized by date in careful rows. But the worst part was the journal. 50 pages of detailed notes about my routine, what time I woke up, when I showered, where I went on weekends. It all went back 14 months to the day she moved in as my roommate. The detective told me something that made my blood go cold. They'd found similar setups in her past. A girl she worked with in her last city, a neighbor before that. Same pattern. Access, then obsession, then escalation. She didn't answer questions except to say she wasn't ready to stop watching me yet. That's what she said. Not, "I'm sorry." Not even a denial. Just that she wasn't done. The comment section needed no explanation. The photographs are the part that genuinely made my stomach drop. She was obsessively documenting her access to you. That's not curiosity or nostalgia. That's textbook stalker behavior that would have escalated. This reads like a case study in how predators systematically escalate. She had access through legitimate means at first, then just never stopped. The shrine in her apartment is genuinely horrifying. That's obsession that would have become dangerous if unchecked. I moved back to my parents' house within a week. I haven't been back to the apartment except with police escort. The therapist appointments are twice a week now. Every lock gets checked before bed. Bedroom, bathroom, closets. Sometimes I check them twice. My dog still watches the windows, and I know what he was trying to tell me all along. The violation of sanctuary, of the one place you're supposed to be completely yourself. That's what doesn't leave. That's what's hardest to explain to anyone who hasn't lived it. And that is the last story for today.